Hey guys, Stitching May here to do my update video. It has been over a month since my last update video. Those of you who are returning viewers to my channel, welcome back. You all already know that this channel is mostly about cross stitch with some life thrown in there. I generally try to save the life update for the end of the video because I know not everybody is here for that. But with it being a month, I kind of have to jump into that first to explain why it's been a month. So, as you guys know, or some of you know, we were in a car accident right before Thanksgiving, and it was taking forever for us to get the car, for us to purchase the new car, the new to us car, because they totaled it out. We found the car, fell in love with the car, purchased the car, and then we, got home with the car, and we had been home for all of 10 minutes. The radiator began to leak. Can't make this stuff up. We called the finance manager that had just gone through all the stuff with us and said, hey, so guess what? They were more than helpful. Please bring it back. Take a picture of it where it's leaking because Scott was able to see where it was coming from. That way, in case it drips off as you come, we can find out where it is. No problem, we'll put you in another car. Until then, there will be no charges. But we literally ended up getting the car like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I joked with my husband how it should have a big red bow on it. It didn't, I really didn't want it to. And they even, as a favor, then went and got their repair guy to look at and fix some minor like surface scratches that were there and a little bitty like dent that was in the car, and then they even paid another dealership to certify the car because anyway, like they went above and beyond to make it right. So I can't really complain. Anyway, so then Christmas happened, and that was different because of COVID. And then the weekend after Christmas, our numbers in my town started growing, and when I was at home, I was tired, I was defeated. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Then the new year happened, and then my sister got diagnosed with COVID. She did fine. She had the whole a little more than 14-day thing. It's back at work. Didn't require hospitalization or anything. We had one little scare that we kind of thought she might be developing pneumonia, but she didn't. Or if she did, she kicked it on her own without having to go to the doctor. And then I thought I had COVID, but I had a sinus infection. And then my cousin was diagnosed with COVID. But we were not around him. She was not around him. He is technically a step cousin. But he has severe, severe, severe lung disease. And we had already been told over a year ago that a simple cold could be, detrimental to him. And instead he got COVID. His lungs were only working at 5% when he got sick, so it did not do well with him, and he ended up passing. But I had family up because of that, and the funeral, and it's just been crazy. And then not to mention that in December, I started trying to work on Connor's Among Us piece, and that became a monogamous piece, so I only had that to work on. And it had, I worked on that all of December and I want to say 2 weeks into January, but I now have a finish and a fully finished object for 2021 already. And then I didn't really buy anything until the last 2 weeks of January. And I've got no new start, so I didn't have a lot to show you really either. So on top of life being crazy, I just didn't have a lot to show you. And then I just kept putting it off, and here I am. The good news is I'm here now with an update video, and because of Magical Stitches, I've stitched on more than one project now. I have no new starts and a little bit of haul, and then some gifts. And then I think my plan is to also, when I'm done with this video, I will edit it, upload it, and while it's uploading, my plan is to do a whip parade. And guys, I have 59 projects, so it will be a long video. So either if you like watching my videos, you're in for a treat. If you don't, then I don't know why you're watching this video in the first place. So anyway, I'm in my comfy clothes. Yeah, see, shirt from work. It's one of my favorite shirts. It's so comfortable. It's so thin. And this time of my life, all of a sudden I get really hot. And the thin shirts help that. Anyway, and I'm keeping up with stats this time more as of now, more consistently. I've only had 2 days of not stitching, and that was around the funeral time and family stuff, and it was not a priority. And all other days I have put in at least 5 stitches a day. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. That's my goal. Not that I'll have like a whole bunch every day, but to at least put 5 stitches a day in, even if it's just throwing the strand in just to get some stitching in. So, with that said, let's jump into cross stitch because I'm 6 minutes in and this is supposed to be a cross stitch. So I will show you first my finish and my fully finished object. This is my Among Us piece. This is from Etsy, from the pattern maker is called Up Up Down Down Crafts. I will link to it below. I call it Among Us. I think it technically is called You Look Kinda Sus. And this was stitched on 32 counts Yule, Y-U-L-E, by Picture This Plus. It's supposed to be a Christmas fabric. See how it's kind of green and red? But to me, this looked very murdery fabric. So I stitched this for my son. And then my husband, Scott, framed this in this shadow box. So he even had to put a new backing on it and everything. I was very impressed. I'm always impressed by his framing. He's always like, oh, don't show that it's crooked here. It's crooked. I'm like, I don't think it is. It looks great. But there that is. And this frame is we got it from Michael's, or these shadow boxes are from Michael's. They were on sale, buy 2, get 1 free. So we have 3 of them, different colors. Had to find some more square projects. But there that is. And I've stitched on this year. For this project, I put in 1,470 stitches on this project alone this year. There that is. So my husband will be going to work later. My sister's coming over to hang out with my son. What better time to do all these videos, right? Because I'll have downtime. Okay. In no particular, well, I guess I could go in order. The next project that I worked on after Among Us was the first 2.5 weeks. The Village at Hawk Run Hollow. And I'll insert a picture of what this will look like when it's finished here. I picked this one for Magical Stitches. This was the one where we were introduced to all of the gods. And I picked out different reasons. Right? Is this the one I picked out all the different reasons to work on this one? No. That was the Among Us. I used that one for the different gods. I don't remember why I used this one. But it was for Magical Stitches. I did not get all 1,000 stitches in. I only put in 222 stitches on this project. But that completed my spot for my Whip Go. Because I am doing Whip Go. And Whip Go for January was Seeking Refuge for me, the Free Space, and then the Village at Hawthorne Hollow. So I did complete this for my Whip Go. And this is what it looked like before. I hope I saved that picture. I went through last night and was deleting pictures off my phone. And I hope I didn't delete that one. I don't know. If I have a picture, this is what it looked like before. I think I can get off Facebook. And this is what it looks like now. Guys, not a ton of progress. I finished out the roof and the bell and the steeple of the church and finished the word Cook, which is a last name. I have figured out how I'm going to make Isaiah spelled correctly. I thought about changing his name to something else to be funny, but I decided not to. I just recharted the name Isaiah and it will fit. So all I have left are the leaves of the weeping willow, and then Reverend Isaiah, and then some birds. I think that's all that I have left on this one. Yes, the leaves, the birds, and then the Rev, and then Isaiah. So that block will be finished soon. I'm thinking about trying to do zombie run in the daily 30. I'm being convinced by my fellow virtual stitchers to join in the zombie run in daily 30, but I'm thinking that semi-sane and magical stitch is enough. I don't want to overwhelm myself with groups like I did last year and burn myself out. I am trying to keep up in them some, but I don't think I can do all the things in all the groups. Okay, the next thing that I worked on, sorry, I'm going to use my planner, so if you hear me flipping back and forth, that's why, was Starry Nights. Magical stitches required you to work on either 1,000 stitches on your oldest whip or 500 on your oldest and 500 on your second to oldest. I pulled out Starry Night, and that is the week of that was the week of my least stitching. That was the week that family was in town and everything was going on, so I didn't get as much stitching done. I literally put in 44 stitches on Starry Night. You guys know what Starry Night will look like when it's finished, but I'll still show you. And then I'll insert a picture of what it looked like before. Guys, you're not going to be able to tell the difference because it's a whole whopping 44 stitches. But it's 44 stitches in my love to hate project. Guys, so I do not want this to become a give up piece in any means. Because I love the piece and I'm going to love the finished outcome. And I'm going to be so proud of the finished outcome. But as far as the method of the stitching, I'm not enjoying working on this piece. So when I do pull it out, I usually only get like a few stitches in. And this was the week, like literally on Monday I had done, the Monday of the week I had done 15 stitches and then 7 stitches and then 10 stitches and then 12 stitches and then 2 days of 0 stitching. And this is where I am now. As you can see, I'm almost 3/4 of the way done. The stitching I did was kind of over in this corner here. Right there. And there it is in its entirety. I'm almost done. I'm so... It's just a really, really confetti area. These swirls are so much confetti. I can't wait to get down into the town because it's a little bit more of vlogs, not much. Oh, I didn't mention the other bag that my Hawker and Hollow was in is a Momly bag. This one stays out in this huge bag that was a gift from my parents. I think they got it at an estate sale. They saw it and like, you have to have this bag. This is usually a bag that I had carried with me when I would go on stitching days and that kind of thing. But I put it all in here for Starry Night. And then that Sunday, that was when I left work early. That's when I thought I was sick and everything. Anyway, antibiotics and I do not get along. Anyway, so I ended up being at home on a Sunday, early Sunday morning. Anyway. And I worked on Seeking Refuge. Seeking Refuge, again, is in a Momly bag. This is the bag that went missing for 2020. And they are still, the post office is still emailing me, telling me we can't find the package. I have the package. So I kind of jokingly put my Seeking Refuge piece in the bag that went missing. Because, well, that's just, this is a Scarlet House. This is stitched on 40 count. I took off the tag. I normally don't do that. It's a 40 count silk weaver fabric, part of a flash sale, which is also kind of ironic that it's a Seeking because sometimes you have to go seeking their your orders from them. Guys, I cannot brag enough on silk weaver's fabric, the colors and the quality of the fabric. However, their postal shipping system is not great. I only purchase through the flash sales when I do purchase, and I don't purchase anything that I need within a month because it's probably going to take at least a month to get to you, and you're probably going to have to email them at least once to get your stuff. I don't know. I don't know. This is where I am. So I worked some more on this border. I picked this one up to try to finish my requirement for Whip Go. There we go. And I put in, are you ready? 30 stitches on this one. Guys, that was 74 stitches for an entire week. Not a very productive stitchy week, but hey. See, I love the color of the fabric. And this is teeny tiny because it's on 40 count. There's actually 21 top rows done. So that's actually a lot of stitching. But anyway, I've got to catch this one up to finish it for Whip Go. My understanding is you just have to have them all done by the end of the year. That's what I'm going to tell myself. But going to try to get this one caught up for Whip Go because the next two that were drawn for my Whip Go, I'll even show you my Whip Go board, are Autumn Quakers and Yellow Submarine by the Blackbird Designs. So I just made this as my Whip Go board. So high tech. And then on the back I put the month and what was called. My Whip Go projects are Winter Quakers, Christmas Kit, Pugs Not Drugs, Autumn Quakers, When the Calling Birds Sing, Seeking Refuge, United We Stand, Starry Night, which I'm not going to count those 30 stitches. I don't count the stitches for them until it's been called. Vintage Birds, Nightmare, Low How Rose, Summer Jubilee, Thankful Quaker, Flower Quaker, Green Damsel, Very Old Samplers, The Village at Hawthorne Hollow, which I completed. Let me mark that. Because I got my 222 stitches. And I cheated, and all of my goals are just to stitch 200 stitches on the project. Earthly Treasures, Yellow Submarine, A New Beginning, Tree of Hope, Dragonfly Fairy, which hasn't been called so these stitches don't count, Fantasia, and Be Thankful. And then the last piece that I've worked on is the one I'm working for now. I have to stitch on a total of 1,000 stitches on mythical creatures for magical stitches. And I am stitching on Dragonfly Fairy. I'll insert a picture here of what that will look like because the chart is in my originals folder. Y'all didn't tell me that a door was sticking out and it was all kind of sloppy. I had to get out whiteout earlier. Anyway, my original is in my originals folder, so I don't have to show you what it will look like when it's finished. It is in a needle Jan's Stitching Necessities bag that was a gift to me from my stitchy friend Kelly. It even has my name on it. It's over there with the threads in it. This is where I was before, and this is where I currently am. So far this week I've stitched 337 stitches on this. I finished out this little piece of the tail of her dress and I've stitched some in here and then put in some of the crynic as well. There that is. So far this year, I'm gonna try to be able to tell you guys each time how much stitching I've done. I've stitched a total of 2,103 stitches since the beginning of January. That's okay for me. And I'm even keeping up a chart with every project that I work on and how many stitches I do on each one. I'm trying to keep my numbers this year and keep up with my stats better. I did okay last year, but not great. So that's all for this year. Now, right at the end of last year, to get my number up to the 60 widths, which then became confusing because I have one project that's a model stitch that I can't show anybody, so I don't count that one. And then I didn't finish Among Us in time for Christmas. So I ended up scratching one of my new starts before the beginning of the year because I had to put me at 61 whips that I can show you guys instead of 60. So I scratched one and had to start 2 before the new year. Those 2 were fan favorites that you guys chose. And again, my original is in my originals folder. It is Quaker Sampling 3 with my needle. I'll insert a picture of what it's going to look like there. I started this New Year's Eve just before midnight. Funny story about New Year's Eve. My husband was at work. It was just me and my kid. Apparently the clock on my oven was wrong. We were waiting. I was going to call him in at 3 minutes for us to watch the ball drop. And I looked at the clock on the oven. I was like, oh, I've got like 8 minutes. I'm going to wash a few dishes real quick. That way I won't have a sink full of dishes for the new year. So I started washing dishes. I'm at like the last 2 dishes and my phone rings and it's my husband. He's like, Happy New Year, babe. I'm like, you're early. We still got 4 minutes. He's like, no, actually I'm 2 minutes late. So I rang in the new year by washing dishes. So apparently that's what I'll be doing all year long. Washing dishes. And during that crazy week, I apparently am a stress cleaner and I ended up reorganizing my kitchen, decluttering. My husband came home. I had all this stuff I had gone through and he was like, okay. Oh, he had to do 2 weeks on day shift, which completely threw our routine off. He has recently become CT certified, so proud of him. Did it all on his own. And then once he got CT certified, he had to do some on-the-job training for some things that they don't see at night. So he had to go in day shift, and that was a big change for us. And that's when I was doing all the cleaning. He kept coming home from work, and I was like, look, I cleaned out this. Look, I cleaned out this. He's like, I need to work day shift more often. So anyway, this is all that I got in. The first leg of the A, as you can see, this is stitched on 36 count. It's the fabric that's called for. White, maritime white. It says that it's, so I purchased this off eBay and it was already kitted up. And this fabric came with it. It says it's Lakeside linen, but Lakeside linen uses Zweigart as their base, and this does not have the orange line. It feels more like a Witchelt, so I don't know, but it's a 36 count. I did measure it out to be safe, and it is stitched in this red Threadworks thread called, it's number 10420. And I don't remember the name of the colorway, but this will be what it will look like when it's finished. And I did this so that I have a Redwork sampler. I'm also trying to use this for Alpha My Bet and Semi-Sane, but I'm behind already. Story of my stitching life. I'm behind. I want to do, I'm behind. And then the other one that I started, again, to where I would have all the projects before 2021. Oh, let me show you. See if I can get that real quick. This is a needle minder that was gifted to me by Belinda. It's a beautiful dragonfly. And I think I showed this. She sent me a gift right before my other video. And some of the stuff I didn't get to show because it was already in use. Needle Minder's Obsession. This one, and then there's a third one on another project. So they're already in use too. So the other new start was a small one. This is a limited edition Lizzie Kate Christmas kit. I will show you what it will look like when it's finished here. It came with the fabric and the floss. So I'm stitching it as called for, and this is what I got that way. I think we watched Home Alone right before Christmas. Hey, there's the other needle minder. I knew it was my project. I think we watched Home Alone while I worked on this. Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2 last year. And that is it for stitching. Random piece of paper. Now, gifts. One thing I need to show you, I had these already up and in use and forgot to show them in my last video. So I put them in a bag so I would remember to show you them. This was also in my Belinda gift, and I had them up and I forgot to show you because they were up. But she sent me 2 beautiful dragonfly pieces that are hung up in my cross stitch room. There's this one. Isn't that beautiful? It's on a canvas by Kelly Lane. And then this one, she said, was hand painted, and I think she got it at a craft market or something. And again, is beautiful, beautiful dragonfly, and it's hand painted. You can even see how it bled through. I'm loving it. But they were up in my room, and I forgot to show them. And then my stitchy friend Kelly got me a gift as well. She got me a clipboard for work that has all like nursing references in it. Folds in half. And then she got me this beautiful small project bag with dragonflies on it. And then she also got me this beautiful sampler kit. It comes with the fabric and thread. It is on like 14 count Aida. I probably won't stitch on the Aida. I'll probably switch this to linen. But look at it, it's so pretty. It says, hold fast that which is good. And it's made by Mariah Blackburn. Beginners samplers. Never heard of them before, but I love this piece. It's never been opened. Hold fast samplers by beginners, a beginner sampler kit. Counted thread cross stitch for beginners. Mariah Blackburn. So there that is. And then I received, I can only show you one of the blankets. It's in my lap now. So I told y'all I'm in comfortable clothes. I'm all snuggled up. I got this from Chelsea Olesh. She does YouTube as well. She gave me the fox blanket and a pillow that's had to be washed. That's a whole funny story too. And oh, and I got this Frogger. This is it was a gift from Belinda, but it is from Stitchnbutton on Facebook. So it's got this needle minder. You going to work? Yeah. I love you. Love you. Be careful. Hey. Hey. He's ignoring me. It's got a chain with a needle, and it's a Frogger, which I've had to use already this year. Come on, focus, focus. And it's Sally and Jack. He had to cook his own lunch today for before work. I was going to apologize to him for that. I also got some of the magnetic little, I don't have any of them on for my spouse. He got me the little magnet with that holds the fabric. I don't know what they're called. I think they're supposed to be for like wire management, but I use them the whole fabric. Stitchnbutton. I think she got the idea from Pam and Steph, and then I saw Stitchnbutton do it, and then I put them on my wish list and I got them. And he also got me the scissors that I now can take out of the package. He also got me some floss away bags. And then a cross stitch cup that's in a dishwasher. I'll just show that on another video. And a Silla Mill. Aren't they pretty? I love these scissors. I can use these now. And then that is, oh, Chelsea also made this card. But Chelsea does videos too. She sent me this card and this blanket. She also sent my son a blanket, and he loves it. And she sent a pillow. Okay, so my camera cut me off. Anyway, and then when it had me cut off, I said bye to Scott real quick before he went to work. So where was I? Oh, so she sent me the card, and then my blanket, and then my son's blanket, and a little Christmas pillow. And even though it's a Christmas pillow, I didn't want it to go into storage, so I had it out on the 21st, 20th, when I got my first COVID vaccine. And my husband and my son and I were sitting there playing Mario Kart, and I had propped on it in my lap. And then when we went to tuck Connor in, I was like, man, my arm's itching. And I looked, and I had a hive. And I'm like, huh, I must be having a reaction to the vaccine because I have a hive. And I'm like, but that's not even in the arm that I got the shot in. And I think if it was a reaction to the vaccine, I'd have more, you know. So I'm kind of diagnosing myself. And then it dawned on me. And I messaged Chelsea and I said, hey, this pillow, you know, you said you washed it before you sent it. What kind of fabric salt, what kind of detergent do you use? She said, Tide. Aha. I'm allergic to Tide, which is fine. It's in the washer. I'm going to wash it and let it dry out. But it was funny because I was like, I thought it was a reaction to the vaccine. It was not. No. Anyway, so I got a beautiful blanket. And then the pillow from Miss Chelsea. And then my son got a blanket too that he loves. We fight over it sometimes because it's smaller. I like it over just my feet. And he's like, that's my blanket, not your blanket. So, that's it for gifts. Now a haul. I said I didn't buy much, and I have it. This was purchased before Christmas. I just didn't show it. It came right about Christmas time. It is 38 count Access Commodities. I wrote it down somewhere. I can't find a piece of paper. Access Commodities Heron Gray. I got this on eBay. I've never stitched on any Access Commodities. It feels very thick, but it's still supple. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's 38 count, which 36 count has become my favorite. 40 I'm okay on, but it's almost too small. So this is right between. So I'm hoping it'll be easy to stitch on. It's going to show up. I don't know if the gray card will mess up the gray. There we go. Gray is always better. There that is. I have no clue what I'm going to stitch this on. It was just a good deal, so I snarfed it up, sniped it up, grabbed it up, whatever. And loved it. I've got some more fabric coming, and then I've got a chart coming. I broke my no buying in January with that. And I forgot that I had purchased this in January. So I'd already broke my no buying without knowing it, without remembering it. I got this at a thrift store at the Goodwill. It is the Stitch World X Stitch Medieval Pheasant Tapestry. Pheasant, yeah. Come on, focus. I don't know. I just fell in love with that. I probably won't do it on blue fabric. Who knows? Ooh, I wonder. I may now have something to do this on. What do you think? I think I'm going to stitch this on it. I think it's a keeper. Don't know when I'll start it because I'm not doing no new starts in 2021, but I'm trying to limit myself to new starts. However, I'm now in the March Mayhem knitting group, and in March they're going to have with the March Madness on the March Mayhem. Emily and I are already discussing. She has this pattern. She doesn't know it, but I may try to encourage her to start this one with me. Unless she already has her Mayhem starts picked out. God, guys, I love it. It's so cute. I love the bird in it. Ellen has thrown down the gauntlet. She has told me she will start Pandemic when I finish my vintage birds. So, you'll probably see that soon. I did get my November and my December color and cotton thread clubs. And I got notified that, guys, I can't tell you. Actually, I can. I've been on the I can't tell you. I've been on the waiting list for a while for the color and cotton fabric of the month club. And in fact, I was gifted gift cards from my sister back last April, 2020 April, for color and cotton, and even held on to those to go towards my clubs whenever I eventually got into the Fabric of the Month club. And I was contacted. She has room for I don't know, I think a couple people, I don't know. I don't know all the business of it, but I'm now in her Fabric of the Month for at least this year. I'm gonna try to talk my husband into letting it continue for a while, because I love her floss, and if I love her fabric as much as I love her floss, we're gonna be golden. I'm starting to get repeats on the floss, which is 100% fine with me because I love her floss. This one is called Seashell. It's a very light blue-gray color. Spinach, which is greens and purples. I think it's supposed to be like, if you look at spinach on the plant, the shoots are purple and the leaves are green. Pardon me. I'm throwing stuff. Mulberry. That's pretty true to color. Mustard seed. Yep. Guys, this gray board makes all the difference in the world. Caramel brownie, which I already have one of these. I love this color. It's a brownish, blackish, purpley color. Look at all those. This one's just called limited edition. This one was in the January. And it's a gray purple color. There we go. And fig. I think I already have a fig. Safari, which is almost the color of, it's got some pinkies in it, some off-white pinky colors. Turmeric, and Mars. And guys, like, this color name is perfect. That is such a Mars color. Okay, that is it for this video. Like I said, my goal is to do a whip parade. I will show the stuff I've already shown in this video just to be consistent. And that way if people don't watch my update videos, but there's someone that just goes through and watches whip parades, they can see them. They'll be in no particular order. I have 59 of them now. Anyway, guys, if you are still here into this now 40-odd minute video, thank you for staying. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy stitching.